Alright, welcome back. So in this video, we are going to continue with our Blogify thing, right? And this will be like one of the last videos before we start a new concept after this, right? And this will be the last small change because for the last 2 days, I think we have been doing like only Blogify codes. And now after this, we'll learn some new concepts and then we'll apply them and then we'll make our Blogify even better, right? So in this particular video, what I'm aiming for is that if we visited our Blogify and we visited this ad post. So currently we had this, right? But even though this form looks good, this is not appropriate enough. Why? Because first of all, we do not need to have just this, input in here. We should have a proper rich text editor, right? And second, we should also have an image enter field, right? So let's just start with that, right? So first I'll actually add the image enter field. That's actually really easy. So what I'll do is I don't need these two files. I need the new.ejs file, right? And inside I'll just make another. So the way we're going to do image input is that we're going to have a place where you can enter your URL, right? Great. And this will be class equal to from form group, and this will be label, and this will be label, and the for will be, we'll name it image, and this will be an input of type equals text, right? And the name will be image, and ID will be image, and class will be form control, and the placeholder will be enter image URL. Alright, so we should have this input now, but this won't work just yet, and I'll tell you why. First of all, we have this, and we haven't entered anything inside the label. This should be so now we have image URL here, and I also entered the colon. But this won't work just yet. And why is that? Because when we are putting something here, right, and we click on add post, then this submits to this particular route right here. We know that. So what's happening in this route is we are taking the new post from the rec.body and then we are adding that to our blog, right? But our blog isn't actually expecting an image. So in the schema, there is no image. I mean, this would work, of course, because this is not a relational database, but still, it makes no sense to have a schema if you're not going to keep it up to date, right? So every blog is going to have an image anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to add the image to the schema, right? And now I'll inside here I'll do image, and note that this name should be actually the same as what you've given here, because this is going to get substituted directly and we're not changing that in any way, right? So the name should be same and this will be string. So now the schema is this. Schema has been updated. Excellent. And now what we can do is first of all, we can clear our originally present entries because they do not have an image, right? This is something that we'll have to do a lot when we are developing and whenever we are adding new things, right? Because if we right now go into the, let's say, index.ejs and we change this image source to item.image, it will work for the newer entries, but this will not work for the older entries, right? Because they do not have an image. So that's why we'll have to clear all of that out. So I'll open a new terminal. I'll go to Mongo. So my Mongo has now opened. Then now what I can do is I can do show DBs. In that I can do use blogify. Now I can do show collections. This is blogs, right? Now I can do db.blogs.find for once, and we see I have 3 blogs. So one more method that we can use is db.blogs dot. We can just use delete many here, and inside we'll just give an empty so that everything is deleted, right? So now if I do blogs.find again, I have nothing. So I've cleared my database, and now if I enter something new in here, that will be actually used. But before we even do that, let's just change this. This is the image source that we were displaying in our cart, right? So let's change this to item.image, right? And let's see if this is working. So I'll refresh the page once to make sure everything works fine. This will be test post. This is the content of the test blog. And image URL, let's take something from here. Let's just take this, copy image address, blogify, paste, add post. And we see our image has been added separately, right? Excellent. So now we can also go here, we can select another image, let's say this one. And we'll go to add post, testing again. This is another test post, and image URL, we paste it, add post. So now this has a different image. So we've added the image functionality now. However, on the home page, we still have the random image, and that's because we have not yet edited that to show what we want, right? So this is the image we had up until now, right? So I'll remove this one, and in place of this, we'll have to do this is an equal to, and then we have item dot image. If I refresh this page, these change to whatever I put them to. So now our blog is actually ready for the basics, that if we visited the show page, which is not yet very well styled, but anyway, if we visited the show page, we would get the title and the caption. The show page is actually not at all ready yet, right? But we can wait for that for some time, and we'll do that once we study this next topic. All right. So now the last thing is that this content box needs to be like a proper full editor. But the thing is that earlier I was thinking to actually use an API to make a rich text editor in this, which is quite possible, and that would look good. But I think that we should leave for now, because actually all the APIs for a rich text editor require to have some really complex JavaScript code and some really good amount of HTML and CSS code. So that's why there are some which will let you put the text editor here really easily without any problems, but then linking them on the back end becomes really difficult. So I don't want to just jump into such a difficult thing just yet. So we'll just make this like a text area. I'll tell you what a text area is, right? And we'll let it be. So instead of this, what we can do is so I'll make a text area. And this will be, and let's refresh and see what's happening here. We changed the wrong thing. this doesn't need to change. I'll backspace, or I'll cut this, and then I'll just keep on reversing until we get back to what we were, right? And then I'll paste that instead here, instead of this input. So now we get this, which is not really good looking, but anyway. And then what we can add in this is so now this looks good enough, and you can see that in the text area, what I did was I wrote the things in here, right? So there's like you could do that to place some already present content, or you could like use the placeholder, and this will like act like a normal placeholder. So this is now a text area, and what we can do is we can actually set the dimensions for this text area. So this is the style sheet that we have, new.css, right? So I'll open that. I'll select the text area. And in this, I'll do height. Let's say, what should the height be here? Let's make it 30%. Let's see how that looks. Refresh. Alright, so the reason that this is not working is that they have given this by a specific class, which is obviously more specific, better specificity than this. So alright, now let's see how this looks. It's almost the same. Let's go back to 30%. Or let's now try 10. And this, I think this looks a little bit off, so I'll do 15. Now this looks decent enough because we have like a title, then we have a lot of space for the content, and we have an image URL space. So now our add a blog page looks a little more practical, right? Now we have to link this to the backend, and to do that, we'll have to do right, and then we'll do inside here everything remains the same. So I'll do right, and then the content will be alright. So let's add some image URL from here, and let me take this one. I'll paste that in. I'll add post. So you see that this works perfectly fine. This is some sample content trying out the text area. So that's great. So now our add post is actually really much more practical. We have a title field. We have a content field, which is not just something like this where you have to just keep on typing and typing and typing. You can do some really good things. You can have a good text area here. And the image URL will be whatever you want it to be, right? And this page will have that too. Great. So now we have like finished this specific portion of Blogify until now, and now we'll start something new, right? Alright, great. So that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one.